clean the stove up. Thought that would be nice. Had a lot of rice on it. And then we made chili, and then the chili kind of got everywhere, and so I decided I was gonna clean up the stove, and then one thing led to another, and I cleaned the sink of dishes, and I cleaned up the sink and wiped down the countertop, and then I was outside washing the car. It's a weird slippery slope that seems to happen every time I try to clean something, you know? We'll do about 32. We're gonna give this another try today. I'm gonna try the thing that I did last week with the chocolate chili, which was kind of add it slowly and gradually up to about 400 milliliters of water, and see if that makes it taste a little bit better, because I really wasn't impressed by the taste last week. You know, and then still unfortunate that they sent it ground rather than whole bean, but I don't know. I'm going to have to probably stop doing this. I'm going to need to get a job. We hit that thing a couple weeks ago with the car having a giant issue and it needed to be fixed, and that was a really big expense. And with the car getting up in mileage, and you know, it's just, I mean, it's not just the car, I had hoped that this would go somewhere, and I don't know if it's my fault. It's probably my fault. I mean, I feel great about the fact that I went from 60, 70 people subscribed when I started this in February of 23, and have gotten all the way up to around 821. I think that's fantastic. Unfortunately, the barrier for entry when it comes to getting any kind of revenue from YouTube is 1,000. And that's the only goal that they've set, the only obstacle, the only goalpost that they moved and haven't moved for a while that I need to meet. Back in 2016, when I tried to do this to start with, you could get revenue off of ads by doing content. And then late 2016, they changed everything, and they made you reach a certain point before you could get anywhere, making it incredibly difficult for, you know, people starting out like me to get anything moving, to have any kind of a living. And I actually, in 6-7 months, I'd actually gotten up to a point where I had money in that little account, but you have to reach a certain amount of money in order to get anything sent to you check-wise, and I had not reached that amount. But I was building funds in Google and YouTube's little thing, but then they moved the goalposts like to an extremely large degree, and I missed out, and it's still sitting there after all these years. They probably closed the account and got the $64. I mean, just think today, if yesterday applied, you know, it would be a lot more. Because like I said, I've grown from like 90, maybe it was 90, around 90 people to, you know, 821, 822. But that is not enough. So, and I don't know what I'm going to do, because I am, after what happened the last time, being laid off after 5.5 years, I just have no desire to deal with a corporate and with a supervisor who doesn't care. Either they don't care or they micromanage you to death. You know, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I found 2 or 3 things that might be interesting, but it's just a matter of I don't know. And it's scary because you put such a long amount of time into a place where you work, and it doesn't matter because they'll lay you off anyway when things are perceived as getting rough. You're laid off. So there's no matter how much someone harps on you about loyalty, no matter how many beautiful cardboard colored signs they put up in the break room about togetherness and family and whatnot, when you get to a certain point, it doesn't matter. None of that matters because you are an employee that is always expendable. Every time. And I've been laid off twice. And it was the exact same thing, except at the first time, it was, I'd been there for nearly 10 years. I basically rewired half of that building. I was doing commercials. I was doing on-air work. I was doing producing. I was promoting. I was doing everything for maybe a month. I had a morning show where I didn't do much of anything except airing commercials, going to traffic, doing weather, that kind of thing. It wasn't like a variety show or a one of those back and forth morning shows with a co-host. It was just a morning show where I ran the board. But it was a morning show. And I was doing it myself. Well, that wasn't enough, and 10 years didn't matter when there's shareholders, when there's upper management that gets bonuses, you're laid off. And it doesn't matter where you are, it's the exact same everywhere, So it's incredibly difficult for me not to be cynical. It's incredibly difficult for me not to be leery of everyone, and what can I do? I have a degree from 1999 in communications, radio and TV production. That's what I have. And I can't go back to school. We can't afford that. I can't afford that. I can't afford going back to school. That's not a thing. So I just don't know. I don't know. I guess what I do know is that we can't really do this anymore. I can't do a morning coffee show anymore. I'm hoping to stream this afternoon, do some stuff. Warcraft's got some 20th anniversary stuff that should be out today, so I'm gonna stream that a little bit, maybe a couple times this week. I don't know. I'm not gonna be able to do that either. Every job that I have seen that has a day shift is 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, So we've somehow made it in vogue to not give people a lunch break during work hours. We now, all of us have to clock out during lunch. It's not 9 to 5 anymore. It's 8 to 5. And a lot of these, another problem is a lot of these jobs that I'm seeing are 30 minutes away, drive time, which means, I have to, and that's if the weather and the traffic are decent, You can't, sleeping is going to be no fun. I'm going to be no fun. Again. until I get into some kind of groove, and then maybe it'll get better. I mean, that's kind of what happened at my last job. You know, I think I had to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is not nearly as bad, but it was a half-hour drive to work. So, and then I was done by 6. I got done at 6. So it was 9 to 6. Because I had to clock out for lunch. Heaven forbid. You're already there, but I got to clock out for lunch, and then I got to clock back in, and it's got to be an hour. Because I tried to do it just a half hour. I'm like, I don't need a full hour for lunch. I just need a half hour. They won't let. They can't do that. Can't do that. It just doesn't make much sense anymore, you know? I mean, I don't know what to do. I don't think I'm capable of physical. I mean, up to a certain point maybe, but you know, my back is bad. My knees are not great. I know I've got a hip problem. I mean, I don't really know how much I can do with regards to that. It's an interesting bed that we've laid, isn't it? Look at that. Like a quicksand. I mean, it's still trickling out, so that's good, but that's kind of a funny bed. Maybe this will taste better. I don't know, and it's frustrating to not know. And it was difficult not to be upset, or at least not to be outwardly upset. Very, very difficult. I found that I didn't eat all day yesterday, and I think I got hangry. Very, 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 very. But I just swallowed it and just made very small, short movements if anything needed to be done, you know. And then I went outside and washed the car, and that seemed to make me feel better for, you know, the 45 minutes it took me to wash the car. So Esoteric is looking for, it's a company that details vehicles and puts 3M wraps on them, colored or matte finished or just clear coat or clear tape or whatever film in order to keep the rock chips either down or off of the vehicle. Matt had it put all over his Polestar, turned it from a shiny black finish to a wonderful matte finish, and it looks amazing. So, I mean, they're looking for washing people, and I think that's something that I can do. It's Monday through Friday. I don't know how to put this really, but they're a rich people thing, because you can, I mean, people will buy their cars. They'll like buy a Porsche or buy a Jaguar, or they'll buy a Aston Martin, or they'll buy a Ferrari, and they won't have it delivered to them at the dealership. They'll have it delivered to them at Esoteric. Because they'll have them do all of the work. They'll have him put a film over it, clear or otherwise. And the film, when the clear film's on there, you can't tell that it's on there. I mean, it is the best. And it's like guaranteed for almost 5 years. So, you know, that's pretty fantastic. 5 years, 3 to 5 years. I'm pretty sure it was a 5-year thing. But definitely at least 3. But it protects your car and keeps the rock chips off the front of it. Unless, you know, a giant boulder hits the front of the car, you know. So, and then they do a detail. It's almost like a Scotch guard. I don't know. It also helps keep rock chips off at a smaller, more minimum. But it makes the car shine. It's like if you've heard anybody talk about a clay bar, it's like the shine of your car. And then they put some kind of a wax protectant over it, so that when you're washing your car, it's a lot easier to wash. All of the dirt comes off very easily and quickly. And, you know, they do your wheels, they do your interior. You know, and generally it seems like only cars that are really super nice get put there and are washed. And the problem with that, though, is I'm sure that's going to be like an 8 to 5 or 8 to whenever we're done job. And I think that that's a half-hour drive from here on good days. So, I mean, maybe the best part of that might be that you don't have to go on any highways in order to get somewhere. And those are the ones that tend to be more congested than others. So I think you can go a back way that might be a little bit more than a half hour, but it doesn't touch a highway. So, which is where a lot of the slowdown comes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it does. I think it smells better. Yeah, no, well, the bitterness is still there. It's still got a bitter flavor to it, but the butterscotch still comes through. I mean, it seems to be a lot brighter doing it slowly like that, rather than just pouring it all in, waiting, and then pouring another one. Doing a nice slow pours of maybe like 100 milliliters to maybe 150 milliliters each, and then letting it sink, and then pouring a little bit more and letting it sink. And it mellows it out a lot more, I think. And it does taste better, but there's still that bitterness there that I'm not really fond of. Maybe you'd be fond of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine. So, I mean, we'll keep going for as long as I can, and I will, of course, let you know if I find something, so we can either celebrate together or together. So, but otherwise, thank you for tuning in today. I'm sorry, I'm still a little down about it. I'd hope it would have gotten somewhere, but you know, I mean, it's a crapshoot. It always is. Sometimes you get picked up by something and it gets spread around and people are like, oh, okay. Sometimes you just don't, you know, and that's kind of the deciding factor with a lot of this is that, you know, people get noticed and then it goes somewhere. You know, sometimes you just don't get noticed. And that's, you know, there's nothing you can do about that. Just try to keep vibing and, in my case, try to find a new job. We'll get the other one out. The chocolate chili out tomorrow. We'll try that one again with a fresh set of taste buds and see how that goes. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for those that subscribe. Thank you for those that watch. You all matter. And I appreciate you very much. We will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.